established the Las Vegas chapter, has a lot of experience, but a lot of the topics that were brought up were membership, recruitment, retention. Every chapter said, "Hey, we struggle with it. How do we engage brothers? How do we grow our chapters? How do we recruit with intent? How do I increase my membership? Because across the whole organization, and I always say this: we have to grow. We have to constantly look for brothers, talented brothers in the community. We have to grow. So I'm going to bring him up to talk about how he was able to grow the Las Vegas chapter, the ups and downs, real talk, about recruiting, retention, membership, your numbers, and how you've been able to navigate through that.
Good, I can sit because I'm a very bashful person. Now, those that are laughing are probably those of you that have known me for 33 years. I've been in the 100 for 33 years. That's right, my team. And to my knowledge, I've been in more chapters than anybody in the 100. Has there been anybody been in the 100 that's been in more than 4 chapters? Well, then my knowledge is correct then, right? Are there any brothers in here from Baltimore? All right. Was I not a member of your chapter? Are there any members from D.C. in here? Okay, we don't have D.C. How about Sacramento? Well, those in Sacramento before it became part of the National. I was part of that chapter. I was an IBM executive for 30 years, matter of fact, with Larry, and traveled around the country. Not that I couldn't keep a home. That's why I was in all these chapters, guys. But when I got to Vegas, there was not a chapter of the 100. And there were brothers that did not know of the 100. When I got to Vegas, I was very disappointed, mainly because a lot of the locals would not participate. They had local organizations. One group had looked at 100 but didn't want to pay the dues, or whatever the cases were. So we really went out and recruited brothers that came from Detroit, Chicago, specifically those 2 cities, and California. And from that end, the first year we were in the 100. First 2 years we went over 100 plus men. I stayed as on that for 2 terms. And then I was asked to come back. At that time, I was on the governor of Nevada's cabinet. I ran the State Department of Employment and certainly didn't have time. But we were experiencing the kind of problems that you experience from day to day in terms of declining membership and at the same time, declining money. So I came back, we put together a crack team. The membership went back over 100 for the second time. The third time that I came back, matter of fact, I'll have him introduce himself. I want my team to stand up and introduce yourself and what position you're holding and have held. Sean, let's start with you.
Sean Smith, immediate past president, Las Vegas chapter.
And Sean, professionally, what environment did you come out of?
United States Air Force, 29 years.
All right, my brothers from the front row. Let's start with you, Ken.
Okay, I'm Ken Kennard. Right now I'm the current events chairman. I've also done membership, and I've been with the group since 2004.
And what environment did you come out of, Ken?
Well, I've been self-employed all my life. I had a successful hospitality business in Detroit, and now I'm in real estate.
And how about your military experience?
Marine Corps.
All right, come on, Ray.
My name is Raymond Lambert. I'm the membership chair. I did 30 years in the United States Air Force Reserves, and professionally I worked in government. I worked for 5 city managers in San Francisco area.
All right, Joe.
Hello, my brothers. I'm Joe Jones. I'm one of the past presidents of one of the Black Men of Las Vegas. I am also currently a board member. I'm retired from industry. I also had a second career in education in Las Vegas. And I love all of you, my brothers.
And our treasurer, our Millennium Treasurer, is attending another workshop. So we have 5 brothers of the leadership team that's here. But you know, we had a lot of conversation last night in the president's meeting, and some of you may be pissed off at me, but after 33 years of my age, I really don't give a damn. So I'm going to be really clear. We are not an organization of elitist members. We are an organization of professional brothers that have elite principles and elite practices. And to that end, we have been awarded Chapter of the Year, not once, not twice, but 3 times. We have chosen to mentor in the hardest neighborhoods of Las Vegas. I'm speaking of neighborhoods mothers being on crack, fathers in penitentiaries, our little brothers and sisters without fathers. That's the environment that we mentor in. We go in with suits because we want them to see what they can be. But at the same time, we can take these suits off and meet them at the red carpet and polos or whatever. Our membership of professional brothers that practice elite principles. We have one brother that is on our board. That's a general in the National Guard. We have another brother that has joined the chapter as a retired naval admiral that turned his star in and became a commodore for retirement purposes. We have brothers that have joined the chapter. Matter of fact, you may have heard of the elections in Vegas. The brother that is now the Attorney General for the state is a member of this professional organization that practices elite principles. We have another brother that has become a U.S. congressman for the 2nd time. That's a part of this chapter. So we can put our credentials against anybody, and I don't care from where. But one of the things that our members are required to do under Mr. Ray's watch, which has only been 2 months, is they go through. Any of you gone through the YouTube on the history of the 100? Well, then you know that Dr. Haley speaks that this chapter was not only started by Mary Dinkins, Robinson, athlete, but also had a sky cap. Our chapter have men that come from all different areas. We don't care professionally what area professionally you came from. And I was a kid that came off the streets out of the hood without a father. B- average. And through a brother that never went to college, saw a revolving door of brothers going from my hood into prison. I never went to jail because I never got busted, but my brother, a year older, was a general in the Black Rilla family. I ended up going through UC Davis in 3 years with honors, master's, working on a doctorate, and teaching at San Jose State at the age of 23. Spent 30 years with IBM, first CEO of Urban League, and recently retired as the Director of Employment for the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation for the state of Nevada. To that end, I'm not impressed with what credentials you may have on your sleeve or stars on your shoulders or the employment that you came from. I'm impressed if you have a passion to work with them young brothers and sisters in the communities that we serve in that do not have fathers, have mothers that are prostituting, or kids that come from great families with a desire to go to the next level. That's what I'm impressed with. Now, we as a chapter, we don't try to, at this point going on, we've had 2 great presidents that are sitting in this room today. And under their watch, we've done great things. But we also, during the history of the 8 years that I've set out, and while I was there, we had the peaks and the valleys that all of you have had, declining membership, having problems in terms of, again, growth, members paying dues, and not attracting millennials, or not being able to communicate with millennials. Because that's where most of the problems come from, or not being on the same page with millennials. We have millennials on our board, at least 3 of them, and what our job, and every one of you that either have gray hair or no hair, should be about, is developing not only the road, but the trail for the next 20 years. And the only way, as I can tell you, that you can do it, for those of you that think you're elitist, utilize the same principles that made you elite. For those of you that think that you're professionals, utilize those same principles that have made you professional. For my 30 years as an IBM executive, we started every year off with a vision. Damn. That is a Vegas alarm clock, all right? I did not want to be late. You also have to have a sense of humor, brothers. But what we did in Vegas, somebody know what you're doing? Got a millennium in here? And by the way, my son and Lettucey have a partner company together. He's 45, and I go to him for anything I need, technically, or my 35-year-old daughter. But brothers, what we did in our chapter since September, again, I'm serving for the 4th time as president. We immediately, the team got together, and I'm talking about the best team I've had as an IBM executive, Urban League executive, or Governor Cabinet Smith. The best team. On this team, these gentlemen that you have met, who you have not met, my general, you have not met my Boulay brother. That's a position. But collectively, this team, our ex-president, John, and also our ex-president, Joe. This team developed a vision in September. The millenniums called it a wheels up, because we built upon Joe's administration and John's administration, and taken this, not this trail that we're taking, is for the next 20 years. I founded the chapter 20 years ago. We'll be 20 years old next month. And there's been a lot of great work that has been done. But what we did not do, we did not develop a succession plan. We did not develop a strategic strategy that would take us. That's what the Japanese and everybody else did. They looked at 20, 30, 40, 100 years out. So what we ended up doing was look at strategically, where do we want to be in 20 years from now? I know I won't be here. My legacy will. But where do we want to be? And then how? What are the day-to-day tactical ways we can get there? So we go to the next. Pardon me? Well, we got to move to the next, and I haven't even been able to give you the pitch. But, well, brothers,
I want to say,
can you give me, Carl, can you give me 5 minutes and I can wrap it up?
All right.
All right, vision-wise, we develop a increasing membership and what we call a resource smart mentoring program and a strategic and tactical partnership. Within the membership, it's a key success factor of any organization that's in the business of mentoring. Without your mentors, you are no one. You go nowhere. In a business, you lose 50 or 75% of your business. You're out of business. Our strategic program consists of recruiting military, first and foremost. Nellis Air Force Base is our next door neighbor and one of the largest Air Force bases in the country. We're fortunate to have a general and an admiral with us that have a relationship with the base commander. I notified Tommy of this. Tommy quickly sent me the program of the Army. We're looking at, again, developing that program and taking it from there. Our gala, the other components, former military firemen, policemen. The Black Tie Gala that will have over 1,000 people, often enough bring us about 20 to 25 new members. We're utilizing TV, radio, and other sources of media. But what we introduced was a resource smart mentoring concept. And that has increased the footprint of our dormant mentoring programs that was declining in terms of membership participation. Our younger members was telling us we need to have a wider footprint. So we now are engaging, any of you know Antonio, next chart please, Antonio Fargas from Huggy Bear and what have you, he's on our board. He mentors at not only the school, but he mentors at the theater arts. We have a brother Xavier there, that's an airline pilot, knows, that has an aviation mentoring program. We are branching off into that, so that's next on the radar. Bubba Knight's son, Craig Knight, has a radio, matter of fact, he is the general manager for the black radio station there. They have a Teen Talk radio program there. That is the program that I'm mentoring in. But most importantly, and the thing that looking at is Resource Smart, instead of having men that require at least 10 hours a month, we're only asking for 4 hours of each of our members' time. Because if you are dedicated to whatever program is 4 hours, you're certainly going to be passionate enough to come back the next week, and we have enough members in the event that you choose not to. But the Teen Talk Radio, I love it mainly because it's from sophomores to college students. And obviously the relationship with Craig Knight, that's one of our honorary members, will be buying us a lot of free media time. Next chart, please. The folks that are, again, we're in the process of reestablishing our relationship at the Wendell P. Williams School, as well as the 100 Academy. And again, with these type of programs, we will be utilizing not more than 3 to 4 men, with the schools, 4 to 5. But these different satellite mentoring programs, at least 2 or 3 men at each of the programs. Last but not least, our gala team. That is very, very important. Before I shoot to that one in the rush of time, we also are developing strategic and tactical relationships with all 3 of the police departments, recruiting policemen. We are recruiting people out of the colleges, and from a brother from LA, the model that they have with their relationship with the community colleges, I'm meeting with all 3 presidents there. Last but not least, our gala. We will have each of the galas, we're the only African American organization or ethnic organization in Nevada that have 2 galas on the strip with well over 1,000 people. Everybody from any organization, politically and otherwise, will be there. This year we will have Lettucey, that is my surrogate daughter, and my son will be performing. But at each of these galas, the key is they've been paid for by our sponsors. The tickets that we sell will be the revenue that will come into the chapter, and we expect to have over $50,000 after this gala. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Brother Moses.